Are you ready to dream on? Do you know how to fly high and soar among the clouds? Get ready to live adventurously because the Laura Meeks Show starts now. Listen as Laura lifts you off the ground while teaching you how to fly high. Forget ground level drama and be prepared to confront your dreams head on as she encourages you to navigate towards your North Star and into what just might be the best life you've imagined. Dream on, live adventurously on the Laura Meeks Show.
And I am Laura Meeks, and this is the Laura Meeks Show, and we are ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. So for those of you, let's just say, look, the deal is that you're going to be able to watch this on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio, and you get to see like the pics of us doing this, or you get to listen AM on the dial, 1150 AM out of Seattle. Or you get to listen on Transformation Talk Radio, just clicking the listen button. Today, what we're talking about on the Laura Meeks Show is what does it mean to decide to fly high? Laura, what does that look? Let's talk about this. Now, look, you have a thriving coaching business. You've created a fabulous brand. You're somebody that has had a career. You've been an entrepreneur. You've started your own business. You've been in the military.
I've been in the
all
military.
All of the above. But now you're doing fly high living. Okay. What does it mean to decide to lift off?
Well, part of what I want to kind of go back a little bit just to review from last week. So a lot of what we talked about last month was on the last show was our ability to put together this vision, which I call the flight plan for life, which is in flying lingo, that means that this is where, as a pilot, we would figure out that we want to go from A to B, and we need a flight plan. We need to figure out ahead of time before we take off where we want to go. And so a lot of the last show, and it's archived on my site as well as yours. So if you didn't hear that show, you can go back after this one and hear that show. But that was all about how to specifically put together your flight plan for life. And I will say that we will tell you at the end of this show how you too can get involved in Flight Plan for Life, because it is an incredible chance to actually put down on paper, and if you get the bonus, I'm offering a bonus where you can actually record your flight plan. But all of that is to come up with a clear vision of where you want to go. And one of the things that I found very important in this whole process, and I'll tie to a short version of what I call my golf ball story. I was out walking to lose some weight. I started walking about 4 or 5 miles, and one day as I was walking, I looked and saw a golf ball on the sidewalk in front of me. And I thought, whoa, where'd that come from? And I look over there and whoa, there's a golf course. Well, it makes sense. Every once in a while, you knock one out. After that, I then found that if I started looking for golf balls, I would find golf balls. In fact, to this day, I have buckets of golf balls because I've specifically been looking for them. The point here being is that once you build your vision statement, the value of that vision statement is it puts it in your mind and you start looking for that stuff. But very first thing that we have to do is decide. We have to decide that we're going to do something in life. And very often, one of the challenges that I see is people listen to this information. They love the idea. They listen to us passionately, and they feel like, okay, this is great. I love the feeling of where this might go, and then they wander off and go back to work and they forget all about it. So one of the things that I want to talk about very first today is the power of making a decision, because once you decide that you're going to move forward, then heaven and earth move with you. Now, to say that in a different way, it turns out that there's a guy that said this. His name was W.H. Murray. He was a climber. I don't know this guy specifically, but he is apparently famous for saying what I'm about to quote. And this is what he said. Until one is committed there is hesitancy or the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there's one elementary truth, and the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, namely that moment that one definitely commits oneself. Once you're committed, providence moves too. In other words, and I'm guessing that he wasn't speaking this century, because providence is not a word I use a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but the point, I guess my point is this, and we all know this, is that once you commit to going in a particular direction, all of a sudden everything starts moving in that direction. Consequently, the flip of that is this indecision. Well, I wonder if I should go this way. Well, if I do that, well, I wonder if I should go this way. And what that ends up doing, and I think part of the reason that causes ineffectiveness is that because everybody around you understands you don't really know where you want to go. And so they too are hesitant to jump in and support you because, I don't know, if she goes this way for a week and then that way for a week, I don't know. But I will tell you this, that whenever you decide that you are definitively going to go in one direction, then everybody jumps on board. I mean, when you say, hey, I'm going to, and for me in my life, when I decided to take off and fly airplanes, everybody jumped on board with that decision.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. I want to take a short break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the importance of what you just said, because in the end, there's something about reviewing options in your life. That's one thing. But what I like to talk about is reviewing possibilities. There's another thing about procrastinating to decide. When we come back, we'll take a look at what it means to get rid of the procrastination, and more importantly, how to test our flight plan before takeoff. We'll be right back with the Laura Meeks Show. I'm Dr. Pat, Laura Meeks sitting here, Facebook Live or transformationtalkradio.com. We'll be right back.
Yep, we're back.
Yeah,
we're back.
It's the Laura Meeks Show.
Live.
I'm not Laura, though.
I'm Laura. This is Fly High Living. We are here. If you're just joining us, then what we're talking about is we had done some work on building what I would call the flight plan of life, or your vision statement, the place and things that you want to do in your life, and that's an important, very first important step. But there are other things that we need to talk about. One of the things that we were talking about in the last segment was the idea, the power of a decision. And we talked about Murray's quote and the fact that once you actually jump in and make a decision, it's very easy then for the rest of the world to jump on board. But it's in that hesitation of, do I go this way? Do I go that way? And it's interesting to me. I think in some regard we've taught ourselves to get into that mode, in that I think in school and a lot of things, there are right answers and there are wrong answers. And we somehow transfer that paradigm into our life. And now we're, really scared. What if I choose the wrong answer? What if I get my life wrong? Well, the good news is life is a very flexible thing, and you can really make a lot of choices. And I want to quote Teddy Roosevelt, because I think this is kind of the counter to the hesitation idea. Teddy said this: in any moment of decision, the best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best thing that you can do is the wrong thing. And the worst thing that you can do is nothing. And I think that's so very true. When you're building your flight plan, it's exciting. There's a lot of inspiration and stuff that's going to start moving you forward. But if we get stuck in this, is this the best dream? Is that not the best dream? Is this, should I go this way? Should I go that way? That slows us down. And in so many ways, Teddy's right. I think that the answer is that we build a flight plan for life, and we take off and we head, in my example of flying New York to Los Angeles, head west.
Yeah.
Head west. Hey, maybe you hit Kentucky, maybe you hit Ohio,
Right.
Make a change, but at least take off and head west. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to take a test. We're not going to evaluate. And I think one of the things that you were bringing up, Pat, is that part of what I want to talk about today are questions that I incorporate into this process of Flight Plan for Life, to test our dream, because there are things that we want to include in our flight plan that these test questions help us navigate. But I will agree 110% with you is that these are not designed to study and get it right and get it perfect. This is just merely, these are questions that I like to ask in the process to make sure that the things that you're building in your flight plan or life are going to be inspiring. Now, quick question for you. This is a test question for a master.
All right, yeah,
Difference between motivation and inspiration. Take a hack at that.
Do you want me to do it, or do you want to take a caller? Caller 1-800. Well, I don't know if we can get a caller, so we'll have to wait for that.
We can.
What's the difference between
inspiration?
Look at what I said. I said instigation.
Instigation.
Oh my God.
We're making words up to make it happen.
Well, I always look at inspiration as something that comes from an outside source, right? That's the way I look at it. I look at inspiration like I'm inspired by Mary Jo, Bobby Joe, looking at the MTV Music Awards, Jennifer Lopez. I'm inspired to learn how to dance.
I'm going to disagree a little bit and
go ahead.
Take this on for a shot.
Yeah, come on. I like to debate this with you.
Yeah, because here's my thinking.
Okay, wait. So I play a sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't you just win something?
I did. So like the locker room, hey, go team, go.
Now
that's inspiration.
Well, and
is situational.
Well, here's the way I use it.
Okay, go ahead, Laura.
See if this is
right
within the ballpark. To me, motivation is just I think motivation is the outside force. I call it push energy. This is when you go to the gym and you're doing 20 reps and your trainer's there and you're at 11. It's like, come on, give me 2 more, give me 3 more, give me 4 more. That's motivation. That's somebody just come on, you can do it. You can make it. You can make the dive. You can you can win this point. That's the thing that I think motivation comes from those sources and ideas around you, versus inspiration, which I think is more of what I would call pull energy. This an inspiration, and I will agree with you. Seeing things like Jennifer Lopez, if you're a speaker and you see a speaker that you really admire, that can inspire you to be like that person. If you're on a team and you see a winning team, you can be inspired to be just like them. But in my world, that is an internal thing that is pulling you forward. And part of the reason I say that is that the value of the flight plan for life is it needs to be and will become an inspirational document for you. In other words, if you had a small goal, your goal was to lose 10 pounds. That's not a dream. That's a project. That's a goal. That's a thing, a task. Yes, you need to do that. Yes, you can get motivated. People can say, hey, you lost 5, you look great, keep going. that's good. But to be fit to climb Mount Everest, that's an inspiration. That's like I want to be totally fit. I want it, which means that you're gonna eat right. You're gonna exercise. You're gonna build muscles. You're gonna build lung capacity. You're gonna test and it's something bigger than you. That's inspiring. Those are the things that, when you hear John Kennedy speaking about ask not what you can do, ask what not what you can do for yourself, do what can you do for your country. Is that, I'm not getting that quite right, but
Well, I think what you're saying, I mean, like I think that's interesting, for me. I'm on the phone this morning, and I called a couple of the political organizations to chat with them.
and were you inspired?
I was
No.
no, I wasn't
Oh.
inspired to call them. I was motivated to call them. So for me, inspiration in my mind is something that can have me be in a place of admiration. I can be inspired by the Pope changing the catechism.
Yeah.
But what am I motivated to do?
Well, and don't get me wrong.
Interesting dialogue, right?
Yeah,
Though, isn't
yeah.
it fun? I love it.
And don't get me wrong. It definitely, we want both pieces. I'm not saying that one
Yeah.
is better than the other, but what I do know is that small goals can motivate you to get a couple steps forward.
I agree.
But a big dream inspires you to go the whole distance. So for instance, in my life, I was inspired to fly airplanes. The inspiration was the idea that I could be up front in an airliner flying, 600, I guess that's too many. We don't have a 600 person airliner.
Yeah.
300 people are around, or 150 people around. That was the inspiration. That's the big, Mount Everest goal that I'm moving towards. That's what I want to get on my vision statement. Now, taking flying lessons was motivating because once I took a flight, and then I took 2 flights, and then I'm closing in on my license, and getting my license was motivating because I'm now 1, 2, 3 steps towards my inspiration. So you got to have both of those. But part of what I want to kind of get across, I hope I'm getting across, is that the document that we want to put together with Flight Plan for Life is an inspiring document. When you read it, you're thinking really big thoughts. I want great relationships. I want perfect health. I want a vocation where I come to work every day just anxious to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I agree.
And to get there, then you may have to do some jobs that are not exactly that exciting, but they would be motivating because you know that, hey, if you do this job, then that leads to the next job, which leads to the job you're really, really wanting. So for me, when I was learning to fly, some of you know some of the story that I had. I signed a document as an 18-year-old that committed me to 6 years of sitting in the bottom of a B-52 as a navigator, not in the front seat where I'm flying. But that was the thing I needed to do. It was motivating to know that if I kept doing that I could compete and get to pilot training to my inspiration, flying the airplane up front.
Well, I think this is interesting, but it really points to the idea about what does it mean to dream big? For me, inspiration has always been something I have felt on the inside. It has always been that.
Yeah.
But motivation, that is the thing that compelled me. That compels me.
Yeah.
And when I think about this, the question is I'm going to get back to what you said so that we can talk about this when we come back. Here's what I love about this. Dream big. So here's the deal, right? Dreaming big for somebody that is homeless might be different than, might be, I don't say it
Might
is,
be, might
I'm
be.
not saying it is, might be different from somebody that is already a billionaire. And it might not. The difference between the two is going to be the degree by which we can literally expand our level of imagination to exclude fear and doubt. When we come back, get rid of the words need, get rid of the word should, and open up to desire. When we come back, what? More testing? Oh, that
More
Laura's going to talk about that. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
All right.
Yep, that's what we're doing. Fly High Living. I'm Dr.
Yeah.
Pat. I get to hang out with Laura Meeks.
Yeah.
This is the Laura Meeks Show, Fly High Living. We're talking today about what? This is like very important. Decide to fly. And part of what you were talking about, Laura, is we have to decide to fly. But when we decide to fly, we have to decide, what are we going to fly? Are we going to fly down the block, or are we going to fly to Italy? And so before we get to this part about let's dream big, but then we got to test it again. How can people find out more about you? And then also, you've created Flight Plan for Life and a whole bunch of other things. So tell us about that.
Yeah, totally. To get a hold of me, flyhighliving.com. That's the central focus of everything we do. Also have a Facebook page that goes with that, but flyhighliving.com. If you want to email me, it's laura@flyhighliving.com. And you're absolutely right. One of the things that I'm just really excited about, because I've got a number of people involved and it's working really well, and it's called the Flight Plan for Life. And it is a 4-week, 4-hour segment. So what that means to you and me is that the listener gets to work with me individually for 1 hour a week over the telephone. So it doesn't matter where you were. I had somebody call in the other day from Albuquerque saying, well, I'm not in Palm Springs. I wish I could do this. I said, you can call from anywhere. Telephones go, we can go worldwide. So yeah. It involves 1 hour. And the essence of it is the Flight Plan of Life is in those 4 hours, then we're going to talk about what makes a good vision statement. The Flight Plan for Life is a vision statement that comes not from me, but from the listener. I'm coaching the listener through these 4 1-hour sessions to craft up a balanced flight plan. I was with somebody last night and she said, I'm really crystal clear. I'm working 60 hours a week and I love my job and all the work, but I need some balance. And that's part of what the Flight Plan of Life is, because we're talking about your health, relationships, your job, and what you like to do in your spare time. I call it time and money freedom. What would you do if you had $1 billion and you didn't have anything else to think about? Hey, what would you do with all of that time and money? Those are things that create a balanced flight plan for you, because once you blast off, it's important that you kind of know where you're going. And we talked earlier about the fact that the value of the flight plan is that what it does is, as you review it daily, it keeps those ideas right here in your mind. Because believe it or not, the universe is sending you messages all day, every day. And the universe knows where you're trying to go. And you are out here in the earthly experience. And all these messages are coming in, but very much like the golf ball story. If you don't know that golf balls are possibly being found where you're walking, you would never even look for golf balls. But once I found the golf balls, I started looking. So the value of the flight plan is that we then read it once or twice a day, and that keeps it on your mind. And then when you're walking around, and for instance, I have one client who really has very clear vision of the man she wants in her life. And I said, if you're listening to that, if you read that twice a day, and then you go to Starbucks and that person steps in line with you, you're going to see that person there. I mean, they've probably been coming to the same Starbucks you have for weeks, but you haven't seen that person because you weren't looking for that person. So the value of all of that is that in 4 sessions, we can crystallize 4 areas of your life and not only get it on paper, but I have a way of recording it on a conference call so that you can actually put it on your phone and listen to it as you're sitting there with your Starbucks coffee. So a very valuable idea, and it's something that, again, if you need, if that's exciting, if it should be exciting to you, it's exciting to me to work with people doing this kind of work. You can go to my site, flyhighliving.com, and you can connect to that product there, or just email me and I'll just call you on the telephone and we'll just work it out. The other nice thing that I want to say is that I've had some people say, well, I've got a variable schedule and I can't, I don't know if I can do it like at 10 o'clock in the morning every week on Tuesday. It's like, hey, the good news is that I have a calendar and you have a calendar and we can match them up. And whenever you can spend an hour with me, then let's book that hour. And then we'll just look every week to the next week and see what you can do next week. And
Yeah.
works out very well. Some people have a spot where they can do, Wednesday at 1 o'clock for 4 weeks in a row. Great. If that's you, that's great. If it's not you, don't worry. We can work it out.
Well, I think that's what we're talking about too, because when you say yes to your dream and when you step into the world of desire, one of the things that I know for sure is that this is not a one size fits all, right?
Oh, it's not. And one of the things that you'd mentioned in the last segment, and this is so very true. Whether you are at the low end of the income scale and you're dealing with some of the challenges of survival, or you're a billionaire, I've worked at both ends of the economic spectrum, and it is interesting because what is in your vision is in your vision. So if you're at the low end of the economic scale and your vision is I want a home and an income where I don't have to worry about paying the rent and buying food, then that can be an inspirational move. Because one of the things we know is and I love this. This came out of a Richard Bach book that I love, Illusions. Richard asked a Messiah, he said, well, I came down to earth and supposedly I'm learning all these things. How do I know when my mission is done?
Yeah.
And he said, well, if you're still alive, your mission's not done. So,
Yeah.
so if you're still here and you're listening to me, your mission's not done. And whether you have what you might consider a grand vision to have a home, or you're a billionaire and you're looking, you want to upgrade from your 737 to a 747 as your private jet. Everybody, one of my personal goals, one of my personal values, everybody's growing all the time. And
Right.
until you depart and move on to the next level, or you transition into source energy, or wherever you're going to go after that happens, until that happens, then you're growing. And I worked with a lady last night who's 70 years old. She's on her third career, and she's dreaming of going to Italy, finding a new husband. Sadly, her husband has transitioned, and writing a book.
Yeah.
And she says, I'm ready to go until I leave. And I know people that are in their 80s that started nonprofits. So wherever you are, wherever you're doing, there is a chance to grow.
Yeah, I think that age is really a complete distraction for the whole conversation about liftoff, dreaming, putting a flight plan together. I think age is a distraction. And by the way, it works on both ends of the spectrum. It's not just about, age and I'm 70. It's also about what a lot of young people go through when they're told they're too young for this job, and they're not told directly like that, right?
Yeah, you don't
It's
have the
really more
experience.
subtle. Yeah. It's like not being included in a meeting to the executive vice president. I mean, it's just weird
Yeah,
stuff that we
yeah,
do
yeah.
because of that. And, in the end, we have to look at for ourselves in our lives that we've now made the decision. And let's go ahead and skip the next break if we could. We've now made
Sure.
the decision. And so let's talk about what takeoff looks like, because I've done everything that, we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I took a look at dreaming big, and then I took a look at dreaming bigger. I came up with the direction that I wanted to go, how I wanted to get there. And now everything is ready. There's fuel in the tank.
There's fuel in the tank.
We're ready to go. Somebody gave me the way to start the engine, but I'm still sitting in the cockpit. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that's important is that you don't want to stay in the hangar. Is that you don't want to plan out everything. And I may have said this in the last segment, but I love the statement. It's just that inspiration without action is entertainment.
Yeah, it is.
And so to hear all this stuff and listen to us on the radio and you get all inspired, and then you go back to work. Oh, that was fun. It was entertaining. But if you really want to move it, then you want to do it. Now, one of the things I do want to do as we're building this and getting ready to take off, then there are a couple things that I think are important to evaluating your dream. And the point here being that we're not doing this to like delay our takeoff, but these are included. This is stuff that I would include in our time together in the flight plan for life, that makes sure that the place that you're going is the place that you really want to go. Now, we've talked about dreaming big. So that's the first thing. Is this dream big enough? It has to be inspiring. Losing 10 pounds, that's not inspirational. You need to do it. I need to do that. But that's not what I'm talking about. Getting fit to climb Mount Everest, that was one thing. The next thing is to make sure that the dream is your dream. So often, and Pat, in my generation, the boomer generation, not unheard of that your parents wanted you to become a doctor, a lawyer, and all of a sudden, you're growing up. I use this example, and it may not be a great one, but within Catholic families, then there's kind of the choice of who's going to be the priest in the family. Which of the guys is going to be the priest, because mama wants to have that connection to God. And often then people are saying, well, my dream is to be a doctor. Well, is it your dream? Because I have to tell you, if it's not your dream, then only you'll know. I mean, I will talk with you and coach with you, but only you will know as to whether that dream is yours. Because if it's not, if you put it down, I want to be a doctor, and I've seen a lot of people do this. They go through 8 years of medical school. They're 40, 50 years old as a doctor, and then they go, I wanted to be a rock and roll star. Mom made me be a doctor. It's like, no, well, mom didn't make you be a doctor, but you did choose their dream over your dream. So I think that's important. Another thing is to test to see if your dream makes you come alive. And these are all kind of interwoven. So, if it's not your dream, if mom's dream is you're going to be a doctor, and I say, how do you feel about being a doctor? You go, well, I don't know. I guess it's okay. Then that's not your dream. That's I will know when I say, hey, do you want to fly jets? And you go, I want to fly jets. That's everything. That's what I want to do. I want to skydive. I want to, table tennis. Whatever the thing is that it excites you. It has to bring you alive. And part of my coaching in the flight plan of life is to actually integrate emotion into it, because it can't be inspiring if it's just on paper. That's why we record it and verbalize it, because it has to inspire you to take that action. Because remember, without action, then there's not much, then it's just entertainment.
Well, one of the things too we should talk about is that, and I'm sure we'll talk about this on upcoming shows, is that, it's one thing to have a plan and to do all the things we're talking about. But the thing that is so important to remember is, unless this is the kind of plan that's going to give you instant gratification and results, you're going to need to sustain.
Yes.
We talk about this, and I think you mentioned it before, Laura, when you talked about losing weight. Now, losing weight might be the step that you take in between to get to where you want to go. So, for example, losing weight may be important for you to get on that basketball team
Right.
because it'll help you play better, right? But
Exactly.
it's not just getting there, it's when you get there, what do we do to make sure that we stay in that zone? And I think those things are important. Earlier, I talked about, the fact that fear and doubt are these interesting cousins, and they get to jump on the wings of the plane.
They
One
do.
gets on one wing, the other one gets on the other.
And they
And
shake you
they're
around.
out there and they're shaking that plane. And
That's turbulence.
looking,
That's turbulence.
yeah, that's right. So how do we keep the dream alive?
Well, and how do we keep the dream alive? And that's again, I think that's why this dream has to be inspiring, because there are fear and doubt in your paradigms, your training. One of the things that I love about this this kind of information. I was on my daily radio show. I had a guest who was 17, and she's doing nightly visioning, and she's doing gratitude, and I'm thinking, gosh, I didn't even hear about this till I was like 55. How great would it be to have that early on? But all of that, the thing that keeps you alive, and I'll go back to my 6 years as a navigator. The thing that kept me moving forward was the inspiration that I was continually making steps. So you have to, part of that, I would say is you have to see that the things that you're doing are moving you towards your goal. So important to have the far out inspirational goal.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, if you're losing 10 pounds, and I've done this thousands of times, if you're losing 10 pounds, when you lose 1 pound, then 2 pounds, that's motivational, I guess, for me, in that, you're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to spend 6 years as a navigator, and that was like forever and a day to me. But I knew that every day that I was flying, I was gaining experience. At the same time, I was applying to pilot training and doing the things that I needed to do. So part of the reason that the flight plan works well is that you have these inspirational dreams out here, and then you have the chance to make the baby steps all along the way. And when you get diverted, so all of a sudden you eat the nachos on Friday here, and you weigh yourself on Saturday, and you go, God, I gained the 2 pounds I lost. That's okay, because then you go, I'm still headed there. That was a small diversion, but I'm still headed there. I still see the end game in my mind. I'm still inspired by it. Now, I will say that along that lines, it does help to have a life coach to help you. help you. There's no doubt. I've found that having mentors, and I know, Pat, you have your own mentors. I have coaches and mentors. You can't. This is not a thing. This life experience is not a thing that you can do just by yourself. It is definitively easier if you have people that are skilled. Part of the value of a life coach, I've spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on my education, so that I can keep track and motivate and inspire people to keep on the track, that it's not over, that you're there. Because I will tell you that as great as the flight plan for life is, it is really the first baby step forward. And there's, like you say, fear, doubt. There's a lot of little things coming that a follow-on course would be a good idea, or hiring a life coach would be a good idea.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things too that we're going to leave everybody with here today, Laura, first off is let's get folks over to your website. That's number one. But the other part of this is that There's very, very little in life that we can do by ourselves. Very little. Clearly there are some people that, have attempted to do it by living in places that are so remote that there aren't any other people around. And sometimes we wait too long to ask for help. And what I mean by too long is I mean that we wait to the point where the walls of our dreams start crumbling down.
Yes.
And hopefully someone will put a hand out.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that folks know that, there is an opportunity to talk with you on how to get some help putting their flight plan together. So if you wouldn't mind, please let folks know about that. And then I'd love to know what your personal message is for today and any other announcements you may have.
Yeah. Well, and again, Flight Plan for Life, flyhighliving.com, or email me. You can email me at laura@flyhighliving.com. If you really want to jump in on this, then call me. You can call my telephone is right here. 1-888-666-1570. So 888-666-1570. I try to get repetition there, make it easy to do that. But you can call anytime. If I don't answer, then the voicemail will pick up. Believe it or not, I do a lot of stuff during the day. I got this show and other things going on. So it doesn't mean that I'm avoiding you. It just means that there's a lot of things going on, and I will get right back with you and get you enrolled in that course. But yeah, if I had one message for today, it is first you need to dream big, and it needs to be on paper. It needs to be clear, and so that you can be aware of it, so that when all these messages come in, that you will see them and take action. And then the second thing is that inspiration without action is entertainment. And so if you really, really want something to change in your life, I would agree with you 100%, Pat. Maybe you could go to the mountain and study on your own, but I'm finding it a lot faster, more enjoyable to engage with other people, especially people who've been trained to help you. You can ask your friends, but they've probably got the same challenges you got, so it's probably helpful if you connect to somebody who has had some training.
The way that I like to think about it, Laura, is that all options are flying, but the difference is that one of the options is you're in a single prop plane, and the other option is you're in an amazing jet. So it's the acceleration.
We're almost, there are people now that are working on hyperspace vehicles. You can go to Japan in 2 hours. Man, I'm ready for that.
Hey, listen, I interviewed Wild Willie this morning, who is third place runner-up in the Drone League Championships. This is really a sport.
It is.
Drone racing. And
racing is... I have a friend who's in the drone business.
Oh boy. I mean,
and it is.
It's a brand new sport. And the bottom line is you don't actually have to get in the drone. But you can still
and I want you to know that drone technology, there's a guy that invented a bigger size drone that you ride like a motorcycle. I thought, oh man, I want one of those right across the desert, man.
Oh my gosh. There we go with that. Laura Meeks, everybody. I'm Dr. Pat. We're going to take a shorty. Thanks, Laura. Thanks for everything. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more of Transformation Talk Radio.
You've been listening to The Laura Meeks Show. Dream on, fly high, live adventurously on Transformation Talk Radio. Thank you for tuning in. And we hope you'll join us next month as Laura helps you find your unique gifts so you can bring them to the world. For more information on Laura Meeks or to listen to past shows, visit her website at flyhighliving.com. Check out her hit Dream On 12-week course, where you get the personal attention you need to fly high in your new life.